In Honduras's Tegucigalpa, the movie begins. Rocio Aguilar, a young girl, is singing and playing her drum. Giselle, a former beauty queen, visits the Aguilar residence and has a conversation with Roberto, Rocio's father. She says she represents young celebrities and that she would like to represent Rocio after hearing her perform in the market. Then Miguel, Rocio's younger brother, enters, drawing Giselle's attention as well. The children are positioned alongside another group of kids in the studio after Roberto brings them there. Giselle forces them to take a group shot and gives Roberto the pick-up time. Before he starts to panic, he arrives at the building at the appointed time to find it dark and deserted. The children with Giselle are then shown being loaded into a van and driven to a new location as sex slaves. Homeland Security agent Tim Ballard is organizing an operation in Calexico, California to apprehend fugitive pedophile, child predator Ernst Oshinsky. They wait for him to begin downloading a file with information about kidnapped kids. Oshinsky is taken into custody when the team of agents gains entry to his home. Tim has apprehended almost 300 pedophiles, but he is aware that he has not been able to track down any of their victims. In an effort to win Oshinsky's trust and learn more about kidnapped children, Tim convinces him that he is also a pedophile after breaking him out of his cell. They arrange for Miguel, who goes by the name Teddy Bear, to be brought to him as a child. Tim orders the cops to drag Oshinsky back to prison after gathering the necessary information. Earl Bachman, Miguel's buyer, and the youngster arrive at the U.S.-Mexico border as Tim and other agents are about to cross. Tim attempts to console the young boy while the agents are apprehending Miguel. He takes Miguel out to eat, during which Miguel discusses how his time was kidnapped and he was held captive for a period of time that seemed to be months. Flashbacks depict Miguel's period after Earl purchased him as well as Giselle and her goons bringing the terrified kids in for sale. Tim is asked to assist find Rocio by Miguel, who informs him that she is still being held captive. Additionally, he displays to Tim the Saint Timoteo necklace that Rocio had given him as protection. While being returned to Roberto, Miguel tells Tim how difficult it is not to have both of his children with him. Tim brings his 6 children and wife Catherine home with him. She understands Roberto's suffering, which encourages Tim to go after the sex traffickers even though his supervisor Frost cautions him not to. Tim is sent on a mission to Cartagena, Colombia, where the kids have been taken. In an effort to cooperate, he meets with Vampiro, a former cartel member. He has the idea to build a sex hotel in Colombia to entice Giselle and her men after learning about one in Thailand. Additionally, they discover Giselle's history and that her real name is Katie Juarez. Tim and Vampiro schedule a meeting with one of Katie's men to arrange for the delivery of all of her kidnapped children to the new location. Tim and Vampiro discuss the latter's past after receiving additional information about the traffickers. He had spent time with a woman he thought was between 20 and 25 years old, but later found out she was actually 14 and had been trafficked since she was 6 years old. Vampiro attempted suicide as a result of this, but he feels that saving these kids is his God-given mission. Tim concurs. Frost contacts Tim and informs him that he is unable to pay the expedition and advises him to return to his own country. Tim leaves and promises to do the task. They cooperate with Officer Jorge to get Katie and her guys to their location with the aid of Vampiro. Half of the kids are brought to a venue the team has put up near the shore. Tim discovers one of Katie's thugs, Carne, trying to flee with a young child named Simba. When Tim tries to stop them, Carne's goon threatens Tim with a gun before Vampiro steps in. Agents arrive on the scene and arrest Katie and her henchmen even as she attempts to play the victim when the rest of the kids are taken in. Frost had sent U.S. Embassy personnel to assist. Vampiro tells Tim that the children's singing and playing is the sound of freedom once the villains are captured. Unfortunately, Rocio is not one of the 54 children who were saved. When Tim's crew question one of Katie's men, the man breaks the goods after learning that Carne was murdered in his cell. According to him, Rocio was sold to the Colombian Revolutionary Armed Forces, specifically to a man by the name of El Alacrán, the Scorpion. Tim is informed by Jorge that he will be unable to save the girl because nobody enters areas controlled by rebels, but Vampiro suggests that they pretend to be medical professionals. Before the armed rebels discover Tim and Vampiro, they are traveling by boat through the river. After going through their belongings and discovering immunizations, they take Tim with them. He is placed to produce cocaine at Scorpion's camp after being taken there and finding Rocio. Tim tries to save Rokio at night while he waits for Scorpion and his thugs to drink and perform songs. She yells when she sees him, but he calms her down and gets her to follow his instructions. Scorpion, who heard the cry, regrettably goes to check on her. Tim surprises him and battles Scorpion till he kills him as he takes her and gets ready to rape her once more. Before the other men realize their boss is dead, he takes Rokio with him. Tim boards a boat and travels to Vampiro in a vehicle as the rebels open fire on them, but they are able to escape. Tim returns the Saint Timothy necklace Miguel gave him to Rokio before they part ways. Roberto and Miguel gladly reconcile with her and bring her back to Honduras after discovering her in the hospital. She then starts to play and sing a song after discovering a real drum that her father had brought for her in her room. According to the closing text, the actual Tim Ballard's testimony before Congress helped over 120 victims of trafficking be found, and new rules requiring government cooperation with foreign nations in sex trafficking investigations were enacted. He attributes his decision to accept the mission to Tim's presence with Kathy. The final text states that there are more people sold into slavery today than when slavery was legal, and many of the victims are children. The film's credits include a video from Jim Caviezel thanking viewers for their support and helping to bring attention to a real-world problem. He also exhorts viewers to pay it forward by purchasing tickets for those who are unable to do so. The narrative of Homeland Security agent Tim Ballard, who undertook a mission to recover minors sold into sex trafficking, is the inspiration for the movie. Tim is able to persuade a pedophile to assist him in locating Miguel Aguilar, one of the kidnapped children, after a former beauty queen named Giselle, Katie Juarez brings a group of kids in under the pretense of being a talent scout. Tim decides to travel to Colombia to shut down the entire organization after Miguel asks him to assist in finding his elder sister Rokio. Tim sets up a fictitious sex motel with the assistance of Vampiro, a former cartel member, in order to persuade Katie and her men to bring the kids there. Despite the fact that they successfully capture her and her men and rescue 54 children, Rokio is not one of them. Tim finds out that she is being held captive by a man by the name of El Alacrán, the Scorpion, in a guerrilla camp in Colombia. Tim sneaks into the Scorpion camp and locates Rokio. Before saving her and running from rebels, he battles and kills Scorpion. Reunited with Miguel and their father is Rokio. According to the closing sentence, Tim Ballard's efforts contributed to the creation of new regulations governing sex trafficking investigations and the rescue of more than 100 victims. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Please like and share the video. Goodbye.
Our help. Let's make this film a historic event and the start. The end of child trafficking. Theaters across this country are already